What's going on? Welcome to another Sunday episode with the War and Peace Show.
How you doing, guys?
As you guys know, I'm Darren Lewis.
Nick Myers.
That's right. We have so much shit to go over. Just a ridiculous amount of stuff. So
There's always just a ridiculous amount of stuff flowing out of this government.
Nick earlier said that he could fit the entire George Bush administration into 1 week of Donald Trump's presidency.
I said one day.
One
on a Tuesday, you could go and cover the entire George W. Bush presidency compared to what we see streaming out of the federal government these days. It's just such a disaster.
It's a mess. You may have noticed we're in a very different spot from our usual recording. And by a different spot, I mean there's lighting. And, we are actually at Nick's apartments, my old apartments here at the Wave in Seattle. Beautiful place. Come by and check it out if you can. Lots of events and stuff going on. It's the apartments, the parking lot, and then the football stadium. Like they're in the same space.
It's got a good view of the city too.
Very much so. I used to live here so very long ago, and actually a year ago now, and it was so awesome. Thanks. We also have someone watching us. It's super cool.
We have a live audience over here.
Yeah, we just met her. She's awesome. So Nick, what is the first thing you wanted to get into?
What did I want to get into?
There's a lot, so brace yourself.
Well, we're just discussing the border wall.
Yeah, let's go to that.
Yeah, that's the government shutdown is caused by this border wall, and that's the big thing going on right now.
Absolutely. And so again, I think we've had this conversation before with everybody that we were. This is Mitch McConnell's fault, right? But when I was in the bathroom yesterday, I know it sounds really, really weird, but I had this sort of.
I don't know. A turtle isn't going to have a spine. You just know McConnell's going to fold.
So, absolutely.
He doesn't matter at this point. It's Trump versus Pelosi.
He really, really doesn't. But see, and that's what kills me, because the three branches of government are supposed to be wildly independent, right? So they're supposed to be separate from each other. Yet the person who's holding
Congress actually is in Article 1.
Yeah.
The president is Article 2.
Yeah.
The president is kind of an afterthought.
But essentially what we have here is Mitch McConnell is not bringing this thing up for a vote in the Senate. And you have a lot of talk between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. But that demonstrates the level of corruption where Donald Trump's not even the one holding up the bill, right? It's not even at his desk yet. Yet he has the Senate in his pocket so hard that you have to negotiate with Trump before. It's just like if you found out the mob owned your bank and you had to go talk directly to the mob leader to get a home loan.
Can you imagine if Mitch McConnell disappeared, how many Republican senators' spines would instantly snap?
Oh, yeah. Well, the crazy thing is, Republicans in the Senate are ready to vote on something. They're totally down. Right. Mitch McConnell's the one who's blocking it, and he's blocking it.
They've actually already passed legislation, and McConnell
he's blocking it.
Refuses to repass it.
Seriously. He's blocking it for the sole purpose, for the only purpose of appeasing Trump. These are supposed to be two totally separate and independent branches of government, and they're so in bed together, Trump has the entire Senate in his pocket. And it's kind of gross.
When you work with someone who's so mercurial that he changes his mind when he walks from one room to the next.
Seriously.
All you can do is get in line behind him.
Yeah, that's realistically all you can do, for being 100%. It's kind of disgusting. Now, he came on yesterday and did the whole live about his proposals. There were some things that I liked, i.e. he opted to have more funding be put toward border security technology, which I'm more about because it's been demonstrated to be more effective than a big stupid wall.
That's what the people who know what they're talking about are asking for. The people who actually work at the border, the professionals who do this for a living, they're asking for technology to scan the ports of entry.
Absolutely. So more money went there, more money went to personnel, which I'm also, may or may not be more about. He did also acknowledge there's already a good geographic border that exists on the U.S. border, where not only would building a wall be ridiculous, but you actually physically couldn't. But I don't know if his alluding to that was due to any sort of we're not going to put a wall where there's already a geographic barrier at. It didn't seem like that's where he was going. But long story short, the Democrats have written it off as a non-answer. It isn't.
Today, Trump was touting a city being protected because of its border wall around it. There was no border. It also wasn't even on the border.
Yeah, it was San Antonio, Texas, which I know I have a few of you on here who are from San Antonio, Texas, which is which is not on the border at all.
The president just told a whopping Pinocchio about your city.
But
yeah, what was the term? Bottomless Pinocchio.
Right. But that's the thing, though. Are we really shocked, like surprised? He literally lies about stuff that's both not important and stuff that is easily demonstrable. Like
the fact-checking industry had to create a brand new term for this person.
The
bottomless Pinocchio. It's a lie that's told more than 20 times.
He just lies about just stuff that's not even relevant. Like, why are we even talking about it?
That's really the thing that upsets us the most. It's not necessarily the Russia connection. It's the fact that it's a corruption of the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's a total indictment on the truth. And it sort of demonstrates, I'm one of these people who, sure, I have my hangups about mainstream media, but the reason why I'm not one of the ones who bashes mainstream media to the extent that we do, and the reason is because it's just, they're like Payless shoes. Everyone says they hate them, but they wear them. They're called mainstream for a reason. It's because everyone likes them, right? We all pretend to rail against and hate mainstream media, yet I don't see anyone throwing any viewing power behind the small independent media circles like this one. All three of you. Kidding, wait, 4. Just kidding. And you're still widely appreciated. I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, the reason why I don't rail against the mainstream media is because they're mainstream for a reason. People watch them and they like them a lot. There just tends to be a thing.
The problem is the polarization, which has been caused by just rampant lying.
Right, and unfortunately, there's money in lying. There's a lot of money in lying. Lying pays. Look at Ben Shapiro. He does it all the time. He's incredibly dishonest, and yet he has enough money to start his own network. I try to stick to as much of the truth as possible, and you can tell because I don't know something, I just tell you I don't know it, and that's wildly unpopular. People don't like people who don't know shit. So that's sort of where we are now. So yeah, Donald Trump's negotiations, which by the way, for a dude who prides himself on being really good at making deals, he tends to be really terrible at making them.
I've never seen him make a deal, I don't think.
I've never seen him make a successful one. I mean, there are deals made all the time. When I buy something from a store, I made a deal. I've never seen him do anything, extraordinary. Right? You know what I'm attributing?
He just throws a fit and gets his way some of the time. That's his strategy.
Yeah, throw a fit and hope it sticks.
Right.
I'm going to attribute, the only reason why I'm not railing against these ridiculously low numbers is because I know there's a game going on. Only reason. I forgive you guys for that. Shame on us for coming on during football. It was a mess today. I had a friend over who wanted to talk feminism and toxic masculinity on her show, and she felt really uncomfortable doing it by herself, so I let her engage, which caused this show to happen later, which is when the game is happening, but hopefully you guys will go back and watch the rewind.
Are you against toxic masculinity?
Against it? Yeah, I mean, yeah, to the extent that I could be. Yeah, I'm against toxic masculinity. I'm also, unfortunately, a perpetuator of it, which I'm trying to work on and checking and all that stuff.
So what's the difference between masculinity and toxic masculinity?
The toxicity.
The toxicity. So I'm not toxic just because I'm male.
No. God, no. You're not toxic simply because you're male. You're toxic if you use the sociologically adherent male traits for negative reasons. Like i.e., making small children fight other small children for no reason.
But what if it's funny?
Then watch people who are paid to do it voluntarily. Don't make 6-year-olds do it because then you're an asshole.
People do it voluntarily.
Well, I mean, how voluntary is it?
Well, under coercion of being hit.
Right. That's what you mean by voluntary.
That's what voluntary means in most cases.
This is true. This is very, very true. And so those things. We talked about the Gillette commercial earlier, so I don't want to get too much into the Gillette commercial. But bottom line, it wasn't painting all men like anything, because I don't know how it could paint all men as something when there are multiple men in multiple types of men.
There's multiple men.
Multiple men. There's more than one man.
Can't put us all in that bucket.
And although they were trying to, so
toxicity level in the room should have a meter sponsored by Gillette.
You say that as a joke, but America's crazy capitalists, so don't do that because they'll do it. It's not a game.
They'll put that on the football game as a plus. Like, how toxic is our crowd right now?
Absolutely. One thing you have to remember about the Gillette commercial, right? Gillette is not, by any measurable standard, an altruistic company, right? They're not doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. These are people who've donated heavily to Republican candidates.
Altruistic and company are actual opposites.
Yeah, they don't mix. They did this because they were very aware that it would make them money.
When a company does something altruistic, it's because they've calculated how much advertising revenue it's worth.
Absolutely. That's exactly what's happening.
They're trying to get in the newspaper.
Right.
This company did good.
Right, absolutely.
Buy from them.
Absolutely.
An ad.
Yeah, buy our razors now, and now they're pushing this whole. And I don't find it ironic that literally right after that commercial aired, Gillette announced their new subscription service for razors. So, what a better way to compete with the already...
That's what we call a kickoff.
That was a kickoff commercial. The message, though, was still timeless and relevant, but their reasoning, I assume, had a lot of malice.
The message is fine. It's the investment.
Absolutely.
They didn't put 10% of their company into this thing.
Absolutely.
They put the amount of money worth one ad.
Absolutely. Can we do a Trump tweet section really quick? Because I just got a good one. Trump's tweets are wildly unhinged, and they've been increasingly unhinging.
I can't read them.
They're so terrible.
Stay away.
So this is the one that literally just came in. It's 4:04. This came in at 5:35. Nancy Pelosi has behaved so irrationally, has gone so far to the left that she has now officially become a radical Democrat. Really quick.
She's gone so far to the left, she's on the right now.
She's gone so far left, she's turned right. Also, please stop throwing that word radical around. I get called radical on here a lot. And let me clarify something. If I were a real radical leftist, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I would be off blowing some shit up or killing you. I'm not a radical. I have a microphone.
We did that yesterday, though.
Oh, that's true. We did do that yesterday. Well, damn it. But we're not radicals. We pay taxes, and we drive on the safe sides of the road, and we stop at all stop signs. Well, Nick mostly. Right, we pay.
If they're not in the way, I'll stop.
When we take trains, we pay our tickets. We don't wish to, murder all religions. We're not radical. We're just.
So Ryan's asking, what happened in the commercial that's making people upset?
Introspection.
Don't make us think about things.
That's right. I think. Damn, I have to finish this Trump tweet. So let me finish the tweet. We'll get off of that, and then we'll address that question really quick. So. She is so petrified of the lefties in her party that she has lost control. And by the way, clean up the streets in San Francisco. They are disgusting. How about you clean up the White House because you fired all the people whose job it is to do that? Well, at least you didn't pay them. And it is also disgusting. By the way, I don't really take your standard of what's disgusting and what's not because you once described the White House as a dump. So you can go fuck yourself in the face with a pineapple or a cactus or something. The streets of San Francisco are gross because it's a city like New York. The city where Donald Trump is literally from.
You can literally pick any one thing and pick one thing that's bad about it.
Yeah.
And use that as an insult.
Absolutely.
That's just what he does. He says, this person, let me think of something bad about them right now.
Seriously?
Because they said something bad about me.
Because they hurt my feelings. You know what else is disgusting?
That's what counterpuncher means. It means... when someone criticizes me, I say something like a toddler.
Yeah. I say something like a fucking like a 13-year-old teenage girl, kind of thing. You know what's disgusting? 300 McDoubles. That's disgusting. That's gross. He's such a fucking child.
That's what he bought the Clemson football team.
Yeah,
or that's what he ate one night.
Yeah, both, all of it. Yeah. He's kind of a mess, but. To address your question, which was, what was the question?
It's about the Gillette ad.
Oh, yeah. So introspection. So what it was it showed, and when I edit this and put it on YouTube, I'll put the actual video up, but it showed two types of men. There was the ones who embrace the fact that men have emotions, that it's okay to express them. The ones who don't let their children fight for no reason because this isn't gladiator mice. And there were the other ones that did let those things happen. So I take the side that if you were offended, you're probably one of the bad dudes. But additionally, I get how it was hard to swallow. Us us being men at some point have all been those. We've all said at some point, boys will be boys, you know. And if you're not
But men will be men.
yeah, men will be right. And if you're not willing to introspect, I can see how that would be a little uncomfortable because they're attacking something that you've done before. But the ability to sort of check where you're fucked up is a good thing. Um, and
It's
so
called learning.
it's called learning and development. So the ones who are like offended, I'm not offended because I'm not one of those people who will let 2 5-year-olds fight to the death for no reason to look at a porn because I'm not a monster. you know, but that's what they were offended over, more or less.
Was that in the video? I don't think I watched the whole ad.
Yeah, there were these 2 kids fighting, and then a dad stepped from behind the grill because there was a line of men saying boys would be boys, and one dad stepped from behind the grill saying, "Hey, you guys, be friends, stop it." If you're that guy, this commercial didn't offend you. If you're one of the guys behind the grill going, "Boys will be boys," be better. Is what I'm saying.
It sounds perfectly reasonable. Like, I need to watch this. Why is anyone upset about it?
Because luckily for those people who are upset, Gillette makes a brand of razors that are for people with incredibly sensitive skin. Those are for you. That's all I have to say about that. It's for people with thin and sensitive skin. It's got 3 blades and all the moisturizer your precious paper thin skin can handle. So yeah, that's about the Gillette commercial.
It's a good wrap up.
Thank you.
Skin.
Thank you. I try. So my computer's acting an ass. So let's read some of these. Driving on the same side of the road, going different ways is radical. California roll, you mean? Radical used to be a term of cool. Yep. What happened in the commercial that's making people upset? That's a lot. That's a lot of man. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a mess. What's going on? What else do we have in the guide? Can we talk about this little bastard in DC who was drumming in the native dude space? Now, a few things I'm going to go ahead and tell you I already know. I've seen the entire video. I know those native guys approached that group that was already there for a pro-rights rally, or for a pro-life rally, and I hate calling them that because pro-life is relative. But I get that. There's a bunch of reasons why I don't care. A lot of them. One, particularly native veterans, have the right to go wherever the fuck they feel like it. Because when they were like, well, they invaded our space, we had this space, and they came in and just barged in our space and started banging drums and disrupting. I'm like, really?
That sounds familiar.
Can't imagine what that's like. So poor you. You mean you were just living, doing your thing, and then here comes someone from far away to disrupt your shit? Oh, tough. Can't imagine the pain you must be going through.
Because they didn't have smallpox.
At least he didn't come bringing smallpox and Catholicism. That would have been terrible. But that's reason one. Reason two why I don't care is because I don't know why these kids just didn't ignore them like they do with black people and rape victims. Why don't they just ignore them? I mean, people walk up. If you're upset because these people invaded on their space when they were having a gathering, I need you to go to a place called Gay Pride, which just loaded with Christians just yelling stuff from the Bible at a bunch of people who were just trying to have a good time. Conservatives invade spaces constantly.
But evil people are not supposed to have a good time.
Apparently.
No smiling.
And that's the other reason why I don't care, because I don't like the reason why those little bastards were there in the first place. And I know what you're thinking. Well, they were kids. They have their firmly held beliefs. I don't believe they believed in any of that stuff. That is a prime example of Catholic Church whitewash or brainwashing. These teenage boys who have never had to experience an abortion have been convinced that an abortion is murder, which please stop saying that, because you're going to get a follow-up question that asks, well, what should the punishment be? And I never got an answer for that. Well, they say abortion is murder. Murderers have punishments. If you're throwing a woman in prison for 25 years to life for simply making a choice about how someone else uses her body, can you morally sleep with that?
You can go to Saudi Arabia if you want that kind of legislation.
Yeah, which, by the way, legislation doesn't stop abortion.
Like that's actual Sharia law.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like why they were there. And then the diocese, which is like if the Vatican had Congress members, they're called archbishops, and they represent a geographic region of the world. And the archdiocese from that runs that school in that particular area came out with an apology. And yeah, let's hear from the Pedophile Logistics Incorporated on how sorry they are that their brainwashing of white supremacist, racist, sexist, transphobic nonsense got discovered. That's what really happened. I'm a conservative. I'm not evil. Maybe an asshole. Depends on who you ask. Fair. I don't think you're an asshole. I were in the Navy with you, and you were really nice. And of course, we're not saying all conservatives, because most conservatives aren't assholes when you actually talk to them. It's just
when they're angry.
Just when they're angry, or when they're not talking to an actual liberal. It's very easy to sit behind a keyboard or to yell things at a television, but I've been in plenty of face-to-face debates with plenty of conservatives that are actually more or less polite and willing to listen. They just have to see your face. Putting a face to an ideology is the biggest hurdle we all have to jump.
That's one of the biggest harms social media does, is it takes that interpersonal connection away, so that you end up just getting in a fight instead of trying to find some kind of common ground.
Absolutely, but another thing, but on the flip side, social media has enabled us to do shit like this. Like we can have this conversation in a group that's specifically for conservatives, so we can throw ourselves in the lion's den in ways that we've never been able to before. I live in Seattle. I'm not schlucking it all the way to Spokane to talk to conservatives. I'm gonna fucking sit here and do it on Facebook. You know?
Bring them to us.
Absolutely. But what kills me is that everyone has all the opinions on the planet until for some reason we get on live and like, hey, give us your shit, and dead silence. It drives me insane every time.
I'm just scared.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're scared. I get it. The face-to-face thing is a little difficult, and it took a while even for me and Nick to become comfortable with doing. But
got another comment. The Catholic Church is only against it because those are prospects to be added to the flock. Right. The church and add to its economic power. Yeah, those dead babies.
Yeah.
They're looking at the coin purses they're going to be holding 30 years from now.
Absolutely. The Catholic Church rails against abortion in the name of this fake child protection.
You gotta build up Jesus' army.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we don't need to be taking child protection advice from the Catholic Church. That's the last place on the planet you should be leaving the safety and concern of your children, because as we know, there's a history, and I have a very I got into Seattle University, and I was like, no, because I take a strong moral objection to the Catholic Church.
But the Catholic Church is the definition of morality.
Okay. Define morality.
The Catholic Church.
Right.
Like, if you disagree with the Catholic Church, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
Fuck it, I'll be wrong. I tend to not agree with pedophiles, especially pedophile logistic firms like that. You know, who... The Catholic Church is at best a criminal organization, and at worst a pedophile relocation program.
The cover-up is always worse than the crime. Too.
Always.
If we look at other groups of people like teachers, groups of people who are in charge of children, the Catholic Church actually has a lower rate of abuse than the public school system. The problem is we put those people in prison. The Catholic Church puts them in a different city.
Right.
It puts them in witness protection.
Absolutely.
Predator protection.
And they've been doing it longer. I mean, realistically, if you want to be 1,000%, the Virgin Mary was only 14. That's where it started.
That Holy Spirit.
That's where it began. I'm only poking fun, but I mean, it's the case. But the Catholic Church is a prime example of what happens when you suppress sexuality to a point of just dangerous cognitive reasoning. These are an organization of fat, lazy do-nothings whose celibacy has driven them to absolute madness, to the point where they're marking little boys with gold crosses to demonstrate to the other Catholic priests who want to rape them which ones have been groomed. That institution would be allowed to exist anywhere else except for the military and the Catholic Church.
The military?
Oh yeah, rape and sexual crimes are rampant in the military, and Deny it all you want. Sue me.
Well, that's just because we allowed women in.
Women and gay people. Had we not allowed them in, no one would have raped anyone ever in the military. But because we let those gays, because we let those women in, we went from talking about those little assholes in Washington. Oh yeah, but the other thing is too, if you're gonna turn around and engage the dude, recognize respect. Not only is he a native, but he's a Marine. Even if you disagree with him, don't fucking be a smug little douche rocket and smile. Fuck that kid.
But he was banging on a little drum.
Right.
He was a silly person.
Sorry, in comparison to murdering to straight genocide of my people and then forcing us to live in these uninhabitable reservations in the country, banging a drum seems a lot less minute. So fuck them. I don't care if they moved in other space. Native men should have the right to be wherever the fuck they want to in this country. It's kind
how
of
old do you think the kid was?
I'm gonna put him at 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he just felt the whole thing was silly and ridiculous.
I feel like he was put on a show. You know, he was there with all of his friends. Ultimately, I blame his fucking parents and that school. That's who I blame.
The problem with racism is not about hate. It's about looking down on someone. You don't have to hate someone to look down on them.
Not at all. And if you're one of these people who's propagating this message that this kid is just mentally disturbed, please don't insult the mentally disabled like that. Racism is cognitive. You don't have to be mentally disabled to be a racist asshole. In fact, you have to know you don't like people of color to be a racist.
The natural state of humanity is to be racist.
Yeah.
We've only encountered non-racism in the last few generations.
Yeah, seriously. So like that's what happened. Let's see. Chris says it's soon to be said about all sides, though. I guess you have to clarify what you mean. I don't really get what you mean with that, but once you clarify, we'll go back and address it.
Yeah, the both sides being equal
argument
usually doesn't work.
I used to buy that, and for the sake of faking political objectivity, right. But there is no way. Conservatives and Republicans are worse, measurably.
It's a false dichotomy. You can't say there was one bad thing here and one bad thing here so that they're equal. Some are actually much worse.
Much worse. Because say what you want about Obama's drone program, which is terrible. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Bombing children was obviously,
absolutely,
in my opinion, probably the worst part of his entire presidency.
Definitely. Now, add the drone strikes, and then add that to just complete domestic dismantling of basically everything we know about society. The constant lies, the cheating, the nepotism, the stealing of money. Add that, and that's what we have now. So worse, measurably, demonstrably worse.
Like something simple as nepotism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who gets away with putting their children in the job with them? That's the definition of nepotism. Do we not have laws?
Donald Trump passed both ethic and law violations a long time ago. You know he's still running his businesses, right? Like, still actively. He's doing that. That is a thing he is doing.
But didn't you see the piles and piles of manila folders? He signed away everything.
Yeah.
How much do you want to bet those manila folders were all blank sheets of paper?
He has signed bills that are just blank sheets of paper. Of course he would sign shit like that that's just a blank piece of goddamn paper.
So Ryan Jones says, what bothers me the most is that these children will grow up and become eligible for leadership roles and have access to wealth, while they maybe feel like what they did was acceptable.
But you know what, though? And here's why that doesn't worry me. And I've had this talk with you guys before in a live a couple of weeks ago. Is you have people who saw this thing happen, right? And they're on the side of the kid. There are people on the side of the kid who was like, well, fuck it. That's his right. Why can't he express himself like this? It's a public square. Why can't he do that? It is not illegal for you to be a racist. It isn't. Nor should it be. I don't think it should be illegal to be a racist. You should totally be a racist. But free of legal consequence does not mean free of consequence. Right? There was a guy who was wearing a swastika on his arm here in Seattle. He got punched in the face and left on 3rd Avenue for 25 minutes before someone actually came and cared. That's your future if you continue to be an asshole. That's going to be you. By no means should you ever be thrown in jail for being a racist. However, you can misgender people, you can be a racist, you can be sexist. Society will react accordingly. And as long as you're ready for that, do you. As long as you're ready to be left out of housing opportunities, left out of job opportunities, left out of particular relationships, a friendship circle, as long as you're ready to be a living apology when you're old and still using words like tranny and faggot in 2045, as long as you're ready for that, do you. But the future is not nice to you. It just isn't. Like, I do not know what to tell you. There was a time in this country where calling me the N-word would have been perfectly socially acceptable. It wouldn't have gotten much attention whatsoever.
That's really only the last few decades.
Yeah.
That's really not that long ago.
Yeah. Now if you do it, someone's going to punch you in the face, and the other 30 are going to laugh about it and put it on YouTube and WorldStar so millions more can laugh about it, and you will be garbage, and you will deserve it, and that will be it. You're going to be your future. So as long as you're ready for that, man, do you. That's what I got to say about that. Fucking just be ready for all the shit that's about to happen to you, and you'll be fine. Be as racist as you want. You're not going to be allowed along with your grandchildren because your kids are going to be like, no, don't leave him alone with my dad because they always leave saying some racist shit.
So at some point in the future, we'll have a new president. And what does that person do to clean up the racist mess that's been left for them?
What do we even talk about after we have the new president?
There won't be anything to talk about. I'm really looking forward to a boring president. Who's the most boring president?
Well, that's the thing.
Joe Biden.
If anybody,
Joe Biden would be a perfectly boring president.
Yeah, just do nothing, lame duck. Like anybody would be a boring president. Fucking Herbert Hoover in comparison would be just boring.
Yeah.
Like uneventful. Because fuck. Like, this is exhausting.
It's a reality TV show every single day. It's just all about the ratings and the TV viewership.
It's one long running episode of The Apprentice, and it's absolutely embarrassing. So shit, what else do we have to talk about today? Let me check the news. I'll check Smart News. Oh, yes, the BuzzFeed article. So you all may be curious as to why I didn't jump for joy and be happy and post when I heard about the BuzzFeed article come out. This is exactly why.
I knew it was going to happen too, and I posted it anyway.
Yeah, you did?
I did.
Yeah, when just one source reports, withhold belief until more comes out.
Also, when your name is BuzzFeed.
Literally BuzzFeed. You know, withhold belief until demonstrable evidence has been demonstrated. However, please don't act like conservatives and Trump supporters that this is a victory for you. Because it's not. Sure, the BuzzFeed report was garbage.
You know, if anything, it confirms that everyone believes what Mueller says.
Yeah, seriously.
Mueller just had this release like 10 words.
Yep.
That was that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even the president believes what Mueller says.
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, please don't go around believing like, this report was wrong, therefore Trump didn't collude. No. Even with that report being demonstrably inaccurate, there is still way more evidence to support that he is colluding than that he isn't. So don't take this as a victory, but also this is a good lesson in epistemology to learn what multiple avenues of evidence looks like and how that's presented. Sources, check sources before you just go jumping for joy and claiming things.
You know, we do need to have a conversation for this whole country on how to understand the difference between real things and fiction.
Yes.
Because we have so much of the news today that is literally just fiction.
So
there's no way to call it news.
No way. Example, believe it or not, it's going to sound counterintuitive. There are decent arguments for flat Earth. There are a few decent arguments for flat Earth. There are better arguments for globed Earth, but there are decent arguments for flat Earth. One of the most annoying, though, I get, because I actually debate with a lot of flat Earthers. Believe it or not, a lot of you out there are flat Earthers, which is, please stop doing that. Well, look at your eyes. Do you see a curvature? Okay, sure. I use my eyes to observe a lot of things. However, my eyes have directly been responsible for my demise on a significant number of occasions. Things called mirages, dreams, hallucinations. Your eyes fuck with you all the time. If you don't believe me, try to catch that floaty thing that's in this corner right here. It isn't really there. Your eyes are just being dicks. So look at the Earth, or simply saying look at it isn't evidence. And sure, you might have a guy who can.
It's just because your eyes are round that you can't tell.
Yeah.
Well, what if you hold a ball? What's the difference?
Seriously, What if you hold a ball? What if you?
No, that ball is flat, sir.
Oh God damn it! not to mention so much shit that we do and that we're operating. I would not be the equipment used to make the stuff that let me restart. The avenue by which we are talking to you through Facebook, this thing is using satellites that were designed with the presupposition that the world is a globe. These satellites would not work in a flat Earth. They wouldn't. These things were built with this idea that the world is spherical and has an orbit and the sun is far away. They just wouldn't work if the sun was close, the Earth was flat. They wouldn't work.
You even have to factor in such complicated things like Einstein's theory of relativity, because they're going at a faster speed.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's time dilation.
Yeah.
With that, you wouldn't be able to figure out exactly where your car is.
Absolutely.
There's really complicated mathematics going on here. You can't appeal to something as simple as common sense.
You can't. You really can't. Ships navigate on that presupposition. Planes fly on that presupposition. To say you look at, just use your eyes. Oh, okay. That's science.
What did Will Smith's kid say on Twitter?
Oh
he was
God,
like,
I hope nothing.
He said, "Mirrors can't be real because our eyes aren't real."
Good God Almighty. Oh, I hope he's not a hard solipsist. For those who don't know, solipsists are people who suggest that the observable reality could possibly or is just a hologram or just a simulation.
Simulation theory.
Yeah, the only thing we can be certain of is that our brains exist, but everything else could be a hologram.
And it could be, but so what?
It could be, but I have no reason to think that's the case.
In fact, I have reasons to believe it's not the case.
Yeah, and evidence, strong evidence suggests that it's not, and it's actually here. I know because it really hurts me, like when I fall and shit. So it's ridiculous. Wait, okay. What bothers me is this. Oh, yeah. The one thing I learned from flat earthers is that we are not allowed to enter Antarctica. Yeah, we're not allowed to enter Antarctica. Australia isn't real. Hitler got close to the ice wall, and that's why everyone hated him.
What?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yep. The sun and moon are actually really close. The moon emits its own light, and the sun is a spotlight sun. Which, if any flat earthers are out there, because the spotlight sun's a big one, you would be able to go to the top of any building and see the sun with its spotlight down over somewhere that wasn't over you. If it was a spotlight sun, you would see it over Australia. It's just over there, shining a beam on Australia. If the Earth was flat. But no, it goes away and it rises, and you see half of it because it's coming around something. Yeah, it's just I don't even know why we're having this conversation. I don't think anyone on here is a flat earther, but I put this on YouTube, and there might be flat earthers. So.
Could go anti-evolution. There's a couple of those.
There's a lot. I don't know if people are anti-evolution. There's a lot of people who don't get evolution.
That's the thing. You don't believe in evolution or not believe in evolution. You either understand it or you don't understand it.
I like where I get the
it's scientific fact.
Yeah.
It's one of the things we know the best in the entire world.
The best. I love like
it's the foundation of biology and medicine.
Yeah, seriously. I love when I get the people who are like, oh, well, if we evolved from monkeys, why were there still monkeys? It's because French-speaking mothers don't give birth to Spanish-speaking kids. They move somewhere else, and their language evolves. That's like saying if Americans came from Europe, how are there still Europeans? We share a common ancestor.
Right. You branch.
Yeah.
You divide, and there's still the thing it came from as well.
Absolutely.
It's like a branching bush.
Absolutely.
Branches coming off of branches coming off of branches. They don't have to go extinct.
Definitely. Let's see. T says that she liked listening in. She was the person who was back here, by the way, listening in on the actual podcast, and she appreciates us for letting us speak freely. We always let folks speak freely. In fact, we encourage counter opinions. We don't like living in echo chambers. So
you got to know what the people on the other side are thinking, because otherwise, what are you even talking about?
True. For me, So, and I get a lot of this from my conservative friends who are like, "Oh, you just don't understand. You don't know." I know I do, and I'm not saying this to be rude, but conservatism is a very simplistic way of looking at the world. It's easy to understand. That's why there are a lot of them. I not only do I understand where conservatives come from, I've been there. There are times where I was like, "Yeah, white lives matter too. Why do we need a black student union?" I said these things like and meant it. That's where I was in my life. I totally get it. But um, the world is more complicated than that. Whenever you hear someone talk about household economics or common sense, it demonstrates they have no clue about any complexities of the world or the society in which they live in. The world
Don't
is
send your kids to college because they'll learn how to be liberals.
Yeah. They'll learn how to they radicalize. They'll let Jordan Peterson tell it, and that's where they're radicalizing the most of our kids.
Teaching people about logic and skepticism
God,
is not the same as radicalization.
it really is not. It is a virtue that needs to be taught to everyone for every reason forever.
I don't think I can even point at a professor and say that person was a liberal bastard.
No, I mean I can't.
I don't feel like I was indoctrinated in any way.
No,
I just feel like I was taught about things.
yeah, I can't point to a professor that's like. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of professors who are liberal. Actually, most of the professors at where I work are libertarians.
Like
which is
the
wildly
like the
annoying.
chemistry professor would teach us about how the world is warming, I guess.
Yeah,
That's just because it's
yeah.
true.
and even
taught
our
us facts and knowledge.
yeah, and even our sociology professors, when they taught us about things like critical race theory and gender fluidity and stuff like that, they had the information to back it up. They didn't just say there are only two genders. Shut up, you crazy libtard. They didn't say that. They actually provided evidence to demonstrate this. So unless you're willing to do the same, shh. God, God damn it.
Do you notice how scientists are only wrong when there's a direct business interest?
Oh yeah, or when it already feeds a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Notice scientists aren't wrong when they've engineered your guns, built your microwaves, made your Chevy truck, enhanced your farming capabilities. They weren't wrong then. They're only wrong when it comes to shit like more than one gender and black people having rights. God damn it. They're only wrong then, which is very fitting.
Like you'll let someone put a metal heart inside of you.
Yeah, but
you won't trust
fucking right.
the scientist over the politician.
Yeah, I'll let you put on a robotic leg where mine used to be, but fucking tell me about the income happened. Fuck you. Yeah. Brian says that it's easier to understand than overstand. I'm assuming I get that, and you're right.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand. So we've got about 10 minutes, about 13 minutes. So as we try every time and fail at every time, questions, comments, if you want to come live, send a request, we'll accept it. It's just getting dark and we're losing our natural light, which sucks. We're starting to become purple. So that means the sun's going down and we rely a lot on natural light.
Oh, he says they believe in the Ford engineers.
They believe in
the F-150 engineers.
You're a Ford truck guy? I'm judging you. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. I let my kiddos pick and choose how they want to live and what they want to believe. That's why I moved them to Austin, Texas versus San Antonio, which is very conservative. Well, and that's the thing, and we mention this literally every episode, but we're going to bring it up again because it's wildly important. You cannot choose what you believe in. You cannot choose what convinces you. You cannot choose what you want. You can't choose those things.
That's a very, very basic, low-level brain function.
Yeah.
You don't choose your emotions.
Yeah.
You base facts and logic and reasoning upon your emotions.
Yes.
And when you hear a piece of news and you have this visceral reaction of, I hate that or I love that, it's not coming from a place of logic. That's coming from a deeper part of your brain
that we don't understand.
And you can't really describe the feeling. You can just describe the logical reality that you build around it.
Yeah, you can demonstrate that by what,
And then we argue about these second order things,
right?
Where we don't even understand the first order things.
You really don't. If you don't believe me, try wanting to kick a puppy in the face. Now, again, that's independent of whether or not you do it. I can kick a puppy in the face and not have wanted to. But try wanting to. You can't make yourself want to kick a puppy in the face. And if you want to kick a puppy in the face, you can't make yourself not want to kick a puppy in the face. You just decide you don't want to. But that's out of your control.
I could make myself want to kick a puppy in the face.
But that's the thing, though. If the want changes, you didn't control the want. It just changed, and now you want to kick a puppy in the face. But you didn't say, "I want to kick a puppy in the face," and then start wanting to. Your wants just change. The same goes with being convinced of stuff and beliefs.
It's like being in love.
Absolutely,
You can't
make
control
yourself
do that. That's just something that's deep within your brain.
It happens.
Not your heart, your brain.
Your brain, yeah. I love when people who are religious in particular tell me to believe with your heart. I'm like, my heart doesn't do believing; it just pumps blood. That's all it does.
My heart pumps fluids around.
Yeah, it doesn't do any believing, thinking, loving. It doesn't. Or you have to believe God in your heart. I don't think you know how the brain works. I believe things up here. I don't believe things
during an abortion debate on when a fetus becomes a human being. Someone told me that God makes the heart beat. No, it's a chemical signal from your amygdala.
Yes. And before we start talking about things that God does, how about you tell me that He exists first? I need to know He's there before
That's a presupposition. I mean, if you were born, obviously God exists.
Oh yeah, or we wouldn't be able to use logic if God didn't exist.
Logic and mathematics.
Yeah.
Comes from God.
See, God gives you logic. Well, demonstrate He exists first before you start telling me what He does and doesn't do. Like, yeah, He does, He doesn't. I'm like, I don't even know if He is a thing.
Yeah, when someone says God intervened in the universe, prove it.
If God intervened in this universe, fuck Him. Because this place is terrible. Everything outside of my house is just trying to kill me all the time. Weather, rain, and shit. Like, it's all just trying to kill me. I don't know why. I'm just trying to live, but no. Or you get a lot of the argument about design and complexity and shit like that, where they're like, oh, well, the universe is so complex, it must have been designed. Well, complexity isn't the hallmark of design. Simplicity is. What's the point of designing something so complicated no one can use or understand? The better designed something is, the simpler it is.
God works in mysterious ways.
There's nothing mysterious about being an asshole. You're a dick. You're not mysterious.
There's a slug whose entire life cycle involves finding its way into a child's retina and then eating its way out. Why did God make that?
That's not mysterious. That's just being a dick. There's nothing mysterious about being mean. If you guys see me, I'm going to steal an old lady's purse and beat the shit out of the first child I see. And if you come in like, Darren, what are you doing? I'm just like, I'm mysterious. I've always been mysterious. And there's nothing mysterious about being a dick. You're just an asshole. So
that's why it's so painful to hear that that's where morality comes from.
That is not where morality comes from.
Tautologically, if God does something, it's the definition of morality.
Which, no, it isn't. God does a lot. The whole book is just a gaffe of God's immoral fuck-ups. That's all it is. I created people. They got corrupt. I have to wipe them out and start again.
He's like the Homer Simpson of gods.
Holy shit. He is the Homer Simpson. I apologize to those of you who are religious, but it's just accurate. God is the Homer Simpson.
He went and choked Noah.
Yeah, he did. He put them all on a giant boat, which had one window, by the way, so holy methane poisoning. But, he put them all on an ark, which had one window. Just the one.
So smelly.
It didn't have a roof. Or no, it had a roof, but then at the end, when they landed, God took the roof off. And they left from the roof. Noah was 600 or 900 years old?
Some shit like that. Yeah,
and 4 people built the city. The whole story is ridiculous, but there are people who believe that story is literally true.
But 6,000 years ago, there was more magic in the world.
Dear God. Also, where did the dove get the olive branch? Everything was underwater. What olive tree survived for 100 years or for 40 days underwater? Where did he get a clean, perfectly fine olive branch? Do doves dive? Is that what happens? Where'd all the water go? Like methane poisoning. Also, shoveling all of that shit. There's so much poop. It's everywhere. There's so many different kinds of poop. It's bird poop. It's elephant poop. You know how very different those types of poops are? One's small and white, and the other one is just literally elephant poop. They're different poops. I don't...
All right.
Yeah, sorry. We're going off on a tangent here.
Let's see. What do you think about Theresa May? UK Prime Minister.
I don't know much about her, and I wish I can get my friend Joe White on here right now, who lives in the UK. Because he'd be able to just chime in on this. Actually, I'll probably tag him.
I really wish I knew more about UK politics, the parliament there.
Oh yeah,
it's doing interesting things these days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The whole BREXIT mess.
Yeah.
Is
serious.
It's just funny at this point.
It's a mess. It's exactly what it sounds like.
That there's another single country on this planet as dysfunctional as ours.
Well, where do you think we got it from? If there's anything I learned in all my experiences with the Commonwealths, is that if Britain touched it, it's fucked. We are all basically these quasi forms of Britain, and Britain's fucked. So, like, when people talk about
it was really the rise in nationalism in the UK that sparked all of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if there'd be a Trump without a Brexit.
No, there wouldn't. And you know, it's also really funny. You get all of these people, these white supremacists, who talk about,
or at least they were both created by the same movement.
Right.
I think a lot of it comes from Putin, to be honest.
Oh, all of it comes from
dividing up the Western alliances.
Yeah.
That's a distinctly Putin objective.
Breaking up NATO. Yeah,
NATO, the
distinctly
EU.
Putin.
And distinctly Trump.
Yeah. Well, who is Putin? This president was brought to you in part by Russia.
Right.
For the makers of lead paint. Do you want to tag Alex Walker in this video? No, I don't. But I did want to get my friend Joe. I want to see if he's here because he's in the UK, and he would be able to speak on this just with a beautiful. Okay, so let's see where he's at. I got Sean, Justin Ryan Perro, Naif, Joe Goddamn White. Where are you? Ryan Jones, Dr. Feaster, James Oliver. Where the hell? Let me see. Okay. Jay White. Satch. Okay. There he is, bastard. With the actual hell. Okay, I want to send a message. Okay. Hey, what are you doing? Hopefully he chimes on because I want him on this live because he would be able to talk about the Brexit thing. We've been talking about it down south for a long time. What's going on, Leah? How you doing? We've been talking about it for a pretty long time, so I would really like to get Joe on here because he's just good at this Brexit shit. The games must be over because we got up to 8. So the games must have stopped. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to answer, but I gave it a try. But he lives in the UK in Bournemouth in the southwest. Oh, Tyler Hellemick. What's going on, Kyle Day? So questions, comments, concerns. If you want to come live, we'll bring you on live. We'll talk. I promise respectability, that whole nine. Please give us questions, give us topics, give us answers, give us opinions. Begging all 5 of you, please do it. Just tuning in, love seeing what you're doing and how this is progressing. Thank you so much, Leah. I appreciate it. We're trying to do something here. Hopefully it moves forward so we can get good lighting, so we don't have to end the show because the sun goes down. Like cave people. like hopefully we get some real shit going. By the way, the logistics of setting this up to look remotely professional, so what you're seeing is just a mic and 2 guys. There is a mess over here. And we had to move tables and move to 8 different floors. I had to take a train. There's a lot of logistics behind just doing this. Hopefully, sometime soon we'll get some real actual studio space, so setup won't be required. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? I don't know enough about football, to be honest with you, to make that determination, Nick.
I honestly don't even know who's playing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I guess we would learn some more sports stuff eventually.
I'm a big college football fan because I went to Notre Dame, but
yeah,
I'm actually kind of glad they didn't win the national championship because they would have been the ones in the White House.
Sure.
What do you think it would do to a group of white Catholic kids versus a group of Southern black kids?
Oh,
do you think it would have served the Notre Dame?
Oh, fuck no.
Do you think it would have served them?
No, they would have got caviar and they would have at least got Costco pizzas.
Right, he doesn't respect a bunch of black football players. scholars, but he's gonna show some deference to the University of Notre Dame.
From the South, right, and that's one thing I will really love to tell Trump supporters, because they tend to be these rural, good old boys who work in Main Street America. Trump does not know or give a fuck about where you're from or the people there. I don't know if all of you good old boys forgot, Donald Trump isn't a redneck.
No.
He is a multi-million-dollar real estate tycoon from New York City.
He grew up in Queens. It's kind of
the least redneck person on the place on the planet. He's from actual New York City. Remember all those coastal elite fat cats who you hate who are crazy out of touch? Yeah, he's like the king of those.
Right. He invented that.
Yeah, he had a jet with his name on it. Everything he has his name on it. Tell you what. If Trump is relatable, then all of these buildings in downtown Seattle just say Lewis on them, really big, in big fucking gold letters.
Do you think being transgender is a mental disorder, or is it a disease?
I don't think it's either of those. So there is a such thing called gender dysphoria, but that can exist outside of transgenderism. There are people who are cisgendered who have gender dysphoria. Transgenderism is sort of the action you tend to take afterward, right? In order to make yourself fit more comfortably to your perceived gender, or to your idealized gender, or not. But they can exist independent of each other. There are cisgender people who have gender dysphoria, who never transition because they're not transgender. That's like a whole separate thing. But I don't think it's either one of those. But we don't treat, even if it was a sort of mental disability, we don't treat all mental disabilities the same. I.e., it wouldn't do much good to heavily medicate and put someone with autism in an asylum. We usually just kind of let them live their life and reassure them and encourage them. And if they've demonstrated the ability to live on their own and work and sustain themselves, we largely
nowadays we used to just chain them to the wall.
True. If this were Texas in the 70s, we just execute them. But that happens. So I think by the same measurable standard, even if it were a mental disability, there wouldn't be much benefit in treating it like one, because transgender people are able to more or less sustain themselves. They can get jobs and drive cars and wipe themselves and stuff like that.
Unless they want healthcare in the Navy.
Yeah, unless they want healthcare in the Navy. Oh yeah, when I was in the military, they were talking about doing that. Then when I got out, they finally did it, where they were allowing transgender people to transition on the military's dime. And of course, everyone was so pissed off about it. But what angered me wasn't that they were pissed off. What angered me was why. Because they were like, well, why should my tax money go to these people's lifestyle or choices to chop their genitals off or whatever? I'm like,
that's how healthcare works.
Yeah. The same reason why that me, a single homosexual, has to shell out a bunch of money because little baby junior son of a bitch wants to play house at age 19 and fucking knock up 3 women and have 4 different kids and live in base housing better than me on my dime. We have to pay for each other's lifestyles all the time. The whole reason why we pay for a police force is because people like to do different shit. That's the only reason why we do it. So when you're pissed off that we have to pay for transgender folk to transition, sure. I also have to pay for rednecks when they fucking overdrink and end up in the hospital. I have to pay for the 19-year-old who wants to play house and have a buttload of kids. I have to pay for churches I don't support on military bases, and chaplains, which are the highest paid officers in the military. I think religion is inherently bad. I don't want to pay for people to be professionally religious, but I do it anyway for people's lifestyles. So that's things we just have to do. Tough. Sorry, I went off on a thing and it angered me. And I'm picking up my phone. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to live. Okay. This is how Justin do this. Political correctness is America's newest form of intolerance, George Carlin. No, it isn't, and I'll tell you why. One, intolerance has never been a thing. We've always been intolerant to people who aren't tolerant. We just are.
You're allowed to hate.
Absolutely. But again, political correctness goes back into the thing we already talked about. You don't have to be politically correct as long as you're prepared to deal with the sociological fallout that is to follow. As long as you're prepared to have shit thrown at you and to be discriminated from jobs and housing, be as politically incorrect as your heart desires. Just be prepared to be called a bigot and to be hit for it. Don't know what to tell you.
It's because people grow up in an area where it's acceptable.
Yeah, absolutely. And as long as you stay in that area, you're good. But even that area, certain things won't be acceptable 40 years from now. even in that area.
10 years from now.
Absolutely. Do you think, fucking ownership of total ownership of a woman is okay even in rural Texas now? It's not. If someone finds out that you keep your wife at home and won't let her get a job, they'll probably hurt you.
The argument that you can't rape your wife is still prevalent.
Yeah. It's that's still a thing, but even that's sort of more or less dying out. I think people are getting that you're not entitled to someone else's body simply because you know them. How do you guys feel about people born a specific gender competing in physical sports of an opposite gender they identify as? I think gender-specific sports should go away, period.
Well, there wouldn't be women paid to play sports at all if there
Yeah.
wasn't a women's league.
Yeah.
Well, I'm disagreeing with you because there has to be a men's league and a women's league. Otherwise, there would just be a men's league.
Well, true, but I feel like
this is actually one area where women are not physically the same as men.
Sometimes. So would you agree with me that there are some women who are just as strong in their ability to do stuff as men?
Every male in the Olympics can beat every female in the Olympics.
I guess I would have to measure that myself. But
no, it's demonstrably true.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah, like men who run marathons, they do it way faster than the women.
For sure, and that's fair. But there are also some women basketball players who are better than some male basketball players, and vice versa. I guess where I'm at
I don't know that there's a single woman that can play in the NBA.
Really?
I don't think so.
I feel like we'll put it this way: if the measure of what you're looking for is something that has nothing to do with gender, why include gender? So, for example, in the military, women can't go to combat. For no other reason than it's thought that women can't handle both the stress or the strength required to have to be in combat. But given that there are women who do have that, why would you stop them at the gate with gender? If your barrier is strength and brooding, then measure strength and bruteness. Don't measure gender because that excludes people who could totally do the job simply because of what genitalia you think they might have. For you guys, a lot of you have never seen my genitals. You're only assuming I'm a dude because I fit the sociological characteristics. But I could have easily had a vagina, and you would have never known.
So I think in sports, the topic that's being discussed is, say, if a male participated in female tennis, the man would have a distinct advantage.
Well, if women participated in male tennis,
like no, if a male participated in a female sport.
Well, I mean, it would depend. It would depend on the female on the sport and their ability to get it done. So, for example,
yeah, that's what he's saying.
Gotcha. So, for example,
I just believe it to be unfair to say a rather large man to identify as a female and go whoop up on women in a wrestling competition.
But again, if size is the concern, then size should be the measure, not gender.
There are different weight classes.
Exactly. Put small women in the smaller weight class, but that doesn't define them by gender. So, for example, Olympic figure skating is largely a woman-dominated sport, but that does not mean that there are men who cannot women figure skate. So instead of separating these things by gender, why don't you separate them by skill, since that's what you're looking for in the first place? It sort of just puts up an unnecessary barrier that you could be missing out on people who are genuinely good at this.
There's no females in the NFL. And that's not because they're blocked from joining. They just don't qualify.
Well, they don't qualify, but that's also because there's a sort of a culture developed around keeping them from not doing that, or at least going into it as just cheerleaders. But if you watch the LFL, I mean, there are a couple of players in the LFL I would replace in the NFL. But that's just neither here nor there.
That's the ladies' football league.
It used to be lingerie football league because anyone who went to those games are gross. But now it's like the Legends football league.
Legends?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one of the players lives in this building, by the way, for the Seattle Mist.
Yeah.
And but yeah, they play tackle football on a shorter field, granted, but I mean they use a lot less gear. They tend to be faster, quicker, and
women are not faster than men.
There are some women who are faster than some men.
There are some women who are faster than some men, but just physiologically speaking, men run faster than women run.
True, but then again, if the need is speed, why block it at gender? If there is, why not test for speed instead of testing for gender?
There's no one blocking women from trying out to the NFL.
For sure.
They just aren't as good.
Right. Or they just don't. I mean, they don't try out. Ultimately,
most don't try out. Sure, but
yeah.
Even the best of the best athletes, I don't believe a single woman would be able to qualify. They're just not physically muscular enough.
I don't know. I guess I have to push back on that. I know some, but there are women who are more physically muscular than men, and faster and quicker. I mean, I guess.
But the biggest men are bigger than the biggest women.
Well, sure, but then again, you're measuring bigness, right? If you need, say if I need someone who's fast, 189 pounds with 3% body fat, and I have a policy where I separate by gender, and I meet a woman who is fast, is within that body mass index, and weighs the amount I'm requesting, why would I be like, nah, because you have a vagina? Why wouldn't I be like, oh, you can do it, cool?
It has nothing to do with the sexual organs. It has to do with the body, the way it's constructed biologically. Men are designed to be runners more so than females are.
Well, sure, but I mean, but the way to measure that, unless you're prepared to stand there with an X-ray scanner to see their bone structure, I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess I've been more for measuring methods by which measuring methods and making sure people can meet the standard of the thing you're trying to actually get. If you're trying to get someone fast, I guess it really wouldn't matter if you had breasts and a vagina and long hair versus if you didn't, as long as you were as fast as I needed you to be. And so, therefore, that's how I would sort of measure that. But I mean, I get it. Wait, truthfully, but even in the gym, there are women who are way more ripped than me. Some that are actually even larger and yet don't push as much weight as me. Right. These things are wildly subjective, and they vary from person to person to person to person. Sure, there's generalizations in that men tend to be stronger than women, and women tend to be, more cunning than men. But if the thing you're looking for is strength, then pick someone strong, regardless of their gender. If they can do the job, they can do the job, independent of gender. And that's sort of where my stance is on it.
I think this is true, and we see that nobody gets hired.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, if that was the thing, then yeah. So maybe in sports, gender leagues would be more necessary for fairness.
I just don't think there would be any females in sports at all if there was no division.
I mean, I don't know if that would be necessary. I mean, because what would end up happening if it really flowed in a naturalistic way, like how it's just, then a women's league would form organically anyway.
The women's league would be the JV league.
Yeah. Which cool, but fuck it. I'm just not for. Look for someone with the criteria you're actually trying to meet. If it's an exclusive boys club, then find boys. But if you're looking for people who are fast or strong or smart, pick anyone who is as fast and as strong and as smart as you need them to be.
Women and men have basically the same brains, but physically, I think sports is the one area where there are literal biological differences.
For sure. But, and this is just a message to the NFL, if you find someone with the arm of Jerry Rice, with the quickness of the best quarterback QB you can think of, if you don't pick them because they're women, that's ridiculous.
That person doesn't exist.
At least that we know of. Now, to say they don't exist would require knowledge of every single person on the planet and that we measured their ability and disability. I would say it's highly unlikely. But if they're out there and they do it, you should allow them to play independent of their gender. So maybe in sports, gender leagues would be more necessary for fairness. Maybe, or just have classes. There should be an NFL and an NFL B. These are the weaker NFL players, but yeah, I don't know. So Kyle, you've been engaging. I like it. I appreciate it, like a lot. We appreciate it. So how long have we been on here?
It's a little over an hour.
Okay, it is starting to get dark and we are losing our natural light. We're turning purple, and I'm getting darker, which is not a problem because hashtag black
We
is
are
beautiful.
purple, aren't we?
We are purple, and
It happens slowly over time.
yeah. Well, as the sun started going down, we started losing the natural bright light. So, oh, Andy, god damn it! Just as we're about to leave, Andy, you ass. I try. I love what y'all doing. Thanks, we appreciate it. We're hopefully gonna make this bigger. BT Dubs, quick announcement for anybody who wants to do this essentially, but for your own topic. Um, I sort of want to do a network, if that makes sense, a whole network dedicated to the progression of society, to the responsible discourse and platforming. Um, so if you're into science, technology, epistemology, philosophy, anything that'll move society forward and away from just baseless rhetoric, I mean, you want to do a show, DM me or DM Nick, and we'll see how we can set you up under this particular banner or umbrella. We're looking for people or into science and technology and business and personal development, emotional literacy, things of that sort. So yeah, yeah. Do you got anything else?
I think that's a good wrap up.
Cool. Rowdy 5000, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.